Coming up next on the Blerd Breakdown, we've got an MCU rumor wrap-up, including Doctor Strange 3's new director potentially, Channing Tatum and what he's doing with Gambit, and Chris Evans looking jacked. Maybe Captain America's coming back for Doomsday. We've got the Street Fighter cast movie announcement. We got Britney Spears dancing and shaking her booty in the bathroom. And we've got the Falcons looking for new kicker, Lamar Jackson shoving a fan, and the WNBA selling the sun. All that and more coming up on the now. What's going on, everybody? I am Winston A. Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blerd, and this is the Blerd Breakdown, the pop culture show for when you need to know. See, what happened was. Now, if this is your first time here, please be sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm dropping new content, and throw a thumbs up on this video, man. Obviously, all of that helps with the algorithm. And of course, like I mentioned about getting in the comments, any of these stories that are interesting to you, that you've got your own 2 cents on, that you know a little bit about or whatever, make sure you're in there and you let me know how you're feeling about all of it, man. First of all, I forgot to put my little logo up there. That's my fault. It's good to see y'all. I know I wasn't able to get an official Blerd Breakdown for you last Monday, but we did hang out for a little bit in chat and whatnot. Crazy weekend this weekend, but a little bit more succinct. I'm going to have her come say hi for a minute. My friend Kat is actually starting her own podcast, so she came to kind of see how it's done. You can come in the frame just a little bit. No, there you are.
Hey, everyone.
Yep, so that's Kat. She's coming in, so she'll be watching from the side this entire time. If you randomly hear somebody yelling during one of the stories, you'll understand why momentarily. But all that being said, man, we're going to jump right into it. So let's go ahead and talk about our first story, and that is we have got a little bit of MCU rumor news going on right now about Doctor Strange 3 potentially having a new director and what the Sentry's role will be in the MCU. Now, this is, Doomsday. Now, this is comic book movie reporting with Josh Wilding, and he comes in saying there's a lot of intrigue surrounding Marvel Studios' mystery July 2027 movie. Whether anything will be ultimately released in that slot remains to be seen, but if not, there will be nothing between December's 2026 Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars over a year later. Now, Blade is a possibility, but we know better than to get excited about that movie, considering it's been started up and stopped a million times. We've repeatedly heard that Doctor Strange 3 is a contender for this vacant slot, especially with the former Sorcerer Supreme set to play a pivotal role in the battle with Doctor Doom, potentially becoming Victor's ally. According to Scooper, My Time to Shine, hello, while it's possible Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness director Sam Raimi could return to helm the threequel, Marvel Studios is currently looking at other options. We'll see what, if anything, comes of this. It's still widely believed that the mystery movie between Doomsday and Secret Wars could bridge the gap between the movies. If so, there's a strong chance it will take place in the newly created Battle World. In other news, a newer leaker on the scene, James Mack, has shared some possible insights into how the Sentry's story is likely to play out in the new Avengers movie. Bob cannot use his powers without the Void taking control of his body, leaving him more fearful and insecure, as he is currently the strongest hero/Avenger alive, and the Avengers need him for this new threat. In Avengers Doomsday, Doom exploits his fragility and fear, creating chaos among heroes, pretending to help, manipulating them into fragile puppets before revealing himself as the true villain. From pre-viz to tech-viz and post-viz, there's been a lot involving the Sentry, and it seems a heavy trigger in Bob will cause the monster Void to take over, not like in Thunderbolts. We're talking about the full-on creature of the Void, with Professor X needing to have a mental battle with the Void to potentially lock the Sentry down. Talking to us about his standout role in Bad Genius last October, Doctor Strange franchise star Benedict Wong confirmed he's ready and willing to join the fight against Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom. Hey, well look, I'm all for it. I'm ready, the actor teased. With Wong, he's been promoted to Sorcerer Supreme, so it's all in the hands of the Marvel Universe to see where we go with it. Yep, I'm looking forward to it. Marvel Studios has made Wong a big part of the multiversal saga, as well as supporting roles in Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. He's also made cameo. All right. Let's talk about it. Coming up next on the Blerd Breakdown, we've got an MCU rumor wrap-up. Sorry about that. You got a little bit of the intro all over again, but let's try it again. So first off with the director thing, I am personally really hoping that they are moving on from Sam Raimi. I like Sam Raimi as a director and for a number of things, but I will tell you, I was not a fan of him in Doctor Strange. It personally is just not something that I really was enjoying. And I feel like it took the movie and it kind of ran it back to a previous era of superhero films. Like, I like Spider-Man, the Spider-Man trilogy that he did. I mean, not Spider-Man 3 as much, but the first two for sure. But I really just wasn't a fan of bringing that kind of element to a movie in 2023. Like, movies of that time, like, it's still a classic, it still works, but we've just evolved beyond kind of like the cutaways and things like that. It felt dated to me personally. And it felt more like a Sam Raimi movie versus him paying attention to what the MCU is looking like. So if we're going to go back to Doctor Strange, because I did like the first movie, I would like to see somebody else potentially helm it. The fact that Raimi even admitted he didn't watch or have anything to do with WandaVision, even though that was supposed to be essentially a direct lead-in to the Multiverse of Madness. There's just a lot of stuff that just wasn't vibing with me. And as far as stuff with the Sentry, I love the idea of we really have to contend with the Void. I liked what they did in Thunderbolts. I don't want them to shy too far away from the idea of, like, it's just kind of the dark side of Bob there. But I do think, for those that know about the Void, knowing how dangerous he really is, I think diving deeper into that is something that is gonna be really interesting, especially if Doom is trying to use that as a means to essentially F up the Avengers. They only really were able to stop him because they were able to kind of calm him down. So having Professor X have a battle with him, in the astral plane or inside Bob's mind, I think would be really, really interesting and a good way to kind of let Professor X shine. But I'm curious what y'all think. Are you even wanting to see a Doctor Strange 3? Is that something that's on the radar for you at all? Are you interested to see what the Void is going to be doing in Doomsday? I want to know what you're thinking about all of that. So please do not hesitate to get in those comments. Let me know what you're thinking. All that good stuff. And also, of course, you can throw in a super chat if you want to get that in, as well as the Streamlabs. I've got those Streamlabs open as well, streamlabs.com/theswaggyblerd/tip. You can get in there and ask whatever questions you like, as well as support the show. We obviously always appreciate that. All right, we're going from story 1 on to story 2, man. Let's talk about Gambit. Channing Tatum has been teasing his role in Avengers Doomsday, and specifically talking about his very heavy Cajun accent. And this is Mark Cassidy from Comic Book Movie reporting. Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself here. Channing Tatum is set to reprise his Deadpool and Wolverine role as Gambit in Avengers Doomsday. And the actor recently revealed that the Ragin' Cajun will be taken a little bit more seriously when he makes his return to the MCU. In a previous interview, Tatum explained why he won't be going full Cajun with his hard-to-understand accent for Doomsday. I'm not going to go full Cajun. Directors Anthony and Joe Russo want things to be funny, but they don't want to go full Deadpool. They want to keep the drama and keep it tight. When Gambit gets serious, when he drops the Mardi Gras mask, things do matter. Gambit will still have a Louisiana twang. However, during an interview with EW, Tatum explained how he came to the new softened accent. The accent's a tough one. It's hard to explain to someone that isn't from the South, isn't from Louisiana. My dad's from New Orleans. I've been around. That accent has a big spectrum. You cannot understand them at all, and you can understand them at times. So you really have to play with it. There's a lot of exposition that has to happen in those movies, and you can even do that, he said. So it's been a strange but really gratifying thing. When you're trying to shove a square peg for so long and then finally just goes through, then you're like, oh, yes, all right, cool. We're off and running. So it's pretty fun. Now, Tatum has also credited Ryan Reynolds with convincing Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige that he could make it work as Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine. We're still not sure how big of a role Tatum will have in Doomsday, but the actor recently revealed that he has a big fight scene with Dr. Doom that was intense enough to cause an injury. Tatum is now said to be walking with a pronounced limp and is undergoing physical therapy before returning to finish shooting his scenes. Tatum was sidelined, sitting in for close-ups and allowing his double to take on the heavy stuff. Today he says he's taking the day off his pain meds so I wouldn't be falling asleep on you and drooling. My body doesn't do well with codeine, and those painkillers the UK docs gave me were strong. As mentioned previously, Doomsday and Secret Wars are dropping in December of 26 and December of 27, respectively. Yeah. Okay. So, obviously, y'all know I was a big fan of Deadpool and Wolverine, and Channing Tatum's Gambit was a massive love for me, how that all went, man. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do here in the Doomsday and see how involved Gambit is, and I'm curious how all the X-Men in general. Obviously, we know we've got Ian McKellen returning as Magneto. We've got Patrick Stewart returning as Professor X, Rebecca Romijn returning as Mystique, Alan Cumming returning as Nightcrawler. Like, we're getting a lot of the X-Men, the original kind of cast of the X-Men. Kelsey Grammer as Beast coming back. But we're also getting Channing Tatum as Gambit. He's getting to continue the role, and I agree. It was fun in Deadpool to have him have that super thick, ridiculous accent. I think it would be too much to have him do it, like he said, if we're trying to do a serious movie. Not that Deadpool and Wolverine didn't have serious moments, but it is a Deadpool movie, so it's supposed to be over the top. If we're bringing the character in, we need some sort of grounding to go on here, because, again, these are big climactic movies of these last couple of phases to really wrap it up. We cannot be cracking jokes 24/7. It needs to kind of be in a time and a place for sure. So I'm glad to hear that he is kind of toning it down. And I didn't know that about Channing Tatum. I had no idea that his dad was from New Orleans. It actually makes sense where this kind of Cajun accent kind of came from and whatnot. Also news to me that he hurt himself on set. So, him being a dancer and things like that, I know he's getting a little bit older, but, he's not that old. Obviously, he'll be able to recover soon. And do all that, but obviously wishing him well. If you're needing codeine, if you're needing those type of pain pills, it sounds pretty serious. So obviously wishing a speedy recovery for Channing Tatum. And I've talked about this before. Gambit and Nightcrawler, they're my two favorite X-Men, two of my favorite superheroes. I am really hoping that they do both. Alan Cumming and Channing do them both right in this big moment where they get to interact with a lot of other Marvel characters. So crossing my fingers to see how this all goes, man. But I want to know what you think. Are you looking forward to it? Are you pissed off? You want the accent to stay exactly how it was? Or do you kind of agree? Let's tone it down a little bit and make sure that the movie runs smoothly. Like, I'm personally hoping that we get essentially the kind of vocal performance from Gambit that we got from like X-Men 97, where it's like there, but it's not too much. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Obviously, again, if you want to throw in a super chat or anything else like that, we are here and ready to get those super chats and those Streamlabs. But for now, let's move on to our next story. Now, this one's interesting. Chris Evans, I'll pull up another photo in a minute here. Chris Evans out here apparently looking pretty jacked recently. And this is coming right after reports that he would be returning potentially as Captain America in Doomsday. This is Josh Wadring reporting from Comic Book Movie. Chris Evans' return as Steve Rogers' Captain America in Avengers Doomsday may be one of the movie's worst-kept secrets. The trades have reported that he'll return as the Star-Spangled Avenger, with various scoopers and set photos lending further weight to those claims. Now, Evans has been spotted at the Toronto International Film Festival looking jacked and very much in Captain America shape. Fans have even shared some photos comparing his physique to the start of the year, and there's a notable difference. Evans had mixed fortunes since 2019's Avengers Endgame. Knives Out saw him receive rave reviews, but Lightyear, Ghosted, and Red One all received far more tepid responses than his MCU work. Materialists and Sacrifice look to be more of a return to form, but a lead role in Avengers Doomsday could make all the difference to Evans when it comes to his blockbuster credentials. It's been widely reported that Dr. Doom will be set out to destroy Steve Rogers for his role in creating the incursions that have doomed the multiverse. It seems the hero heading back in time to get his happy ending with Peggy Carter caused irreparable damage to the reality that Victor is now seeking to fix. We still don't know how that ties into what we saw in Loki or what it means for Kang the Conqueror, the multiversal war and his variants, all of the stuff that's been warned about in the show and to Ant-Man. Why didn't the TVA step in to prune the damage caused by Cap? Why would his actions negatively affect the multiverse that Loki sits at the heart of? These are just some of the questions we have heading into Doomsday. Evans says, I talk to Robert Downey Jr. and the Russos all the time. It's where Pedro Pascal is right now. I mean, it's sad to be away. It's sad to not be back with the band. But I'm sure they're doing something incredible, and I'm sure it's going to be that much harder when it comes out and you feel like you weren't invited to the party. All right, let me cut over for a second. I want to show you guys, we're kind of going on the fly here, but I want to show you guys some of these photos. So this is him right now at the Toronto International Film Festival. And that is the straight, like, Cap chesticles thing going on, like his arms looking jacked again. Like, he is right back to business, man. Again, him at the Toronto International Film Festival. I think it's fair to say, this was him in January. This is him now. I think it's fair to say that we're probably getting him back in some form or fashion. Obviously, here's also Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth Paltrow working on Doomsday themselves. So, a lot going on there. But we will see. Let's talk. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that the band is getting back together as kind of the evil versions of themselves, whether it be through manipulation, if Doom is manipulating a lot of the other Avengers, if he's getting evil versions of them one way or the other, if we're getting like a Dark Avengers, like if we get the whole Hydra Cap scenario, which I hope we don't go full Hydra Cap, because I actually had a lot of fun just with the minor little thing in Endgame when he was talking about, Hail Hydra. They're like, oh, shit, okay, yeah, cool, you good, bro. Like, do what you do. I thought that was enough of a nod to that, but I think at the bare minimum, if it is Doom realizing that Cap's got to go, you've got then Chris Evans back in the shape that he needs to be while he's back in time. And I think that works pretty well. I think that would probably be our best bet on how we would want to handle that. But again, worst kept secret possibly in the entirety of the MCU is the fact, shout out to the Super Chat. Thank you so much. We'll talk about it in just a second, Kyle. We'll save that for the end there. I wonder if it'll let me put that back on screen. It probably won't, so I'll have to read them out loud later. But thank you so much, Kyle. We'll get back to that. But yeah, I genuinely think that having the original crew back in some form or fashion is a smart business move. I think it works, but I don't want to do it in such a way that we kind of poo-poo on what ended really nice for everything. You know what I'm saying? Let's make sure that we don't take away a lot of the emotional weight of things going forward. I think that is really what we want to be very careful about doing as we get into these next two Avengers films. But that being said, do you think that Chris Evans is going to be in the movie? Most definitely. Do you think it's being overblown? Let me know what you think in the comments, man. And now we got to get to a new movie that's about to drop. I'm very excited about. It's going to be coming out next year, October of next year. And that's Street Fighter, man. Now, we've heard inklings of the cast here and there, but we haven't had a chance to really see them all together. Well, fortunately for us, the Street Fighter cast has indeed been fully announced. This is Comic Book Movie reporting with Mark Cassidy again. The live-action Street Fighter movie has announced its full cast via an awesome new retro-style video and poster. The Kaito Sakurai directed video game adaptation, which will now be distributed by Paramount Pictures, has been pushed back a few months, but will hit theaters on October 16th of 26. This news comes as part of a 3-year deal between Legendary and Paramount, although Legendary's former partner Warner Brothers will continue to distribute key franchises such as a Minecraft movie sequel, 2026's Dune Part 3, and 27's Godzilla x Kong Supernova. The new synopsis reveals that the movie will be set during the same year Street Fighter II was released in arcades. Set in 1993, estranged Street Fighters Ryu, played by Andrew Koji, and Ken Masters, played by Noah Centino, are thrown back into combat when the mysterious Chun-Li, played by Kalina Lang, recruits them for the next World Warrior Tournament, a brutal clash of fist, fate, and fury. But behind this battle royale lies a deadly conspiracy that forces them to face off against each other and the demons of the past, and if they don't, it's game over. Now, the cast list, again, as I mentioned previously, hold on one second, there we go, let that play again. You'll see it right here popping up. So, Andrew Koji is Ryu, Noah Centino is Ken, Kalina Lang is Chun-Li, Cody Rhodes, 50 Cent is Balrog, Jason Momoa is Blanca. I can't read that as fast as it is, but here, I got the list here. Orville Peck as Vega, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson as Balrog, Jason Momoa as Blanca, Vidyut Jamwal as Dalsim, Oliver Richards as Zangief, Hiroki Goto as E. Honda, David Dashmalchian, always butcher his name. I apologize, dude. As M. Bison, Roman Reigns as Akuma, Andrew Schultz as Dan Hibiki, Eric Andre as Don Savage, Mel Johnson as Cammy, Reina, I am not even going to try that, as Julian Alexander, Volkanovski as Joe. So full cast here. I thought, honestly, let me close that. I thought that was a really cool way to announce the cast, to use the original start screen and even to take the actors and pixelate them. I thought that was awesome to do that, and makes me have a lot of faith in this movie, because the first Street Fighter movie was trash. Let's call it a buck, bro. Like, Jean-Claude Van Damme is hilarious in that movie. That movie, just top to bottom, is not good. So I was a little worried for a minute about whether or not this was going to be good, but I've noticed that video game movies have gotten better. I think the Sonic movies were really good. Detective Pikachu was really good. I enjoyed the first Mortal Kombat, and I'm looking forward to Mortal Kombat 2. Looks like it's going to be pretty great. So I am here for this Street Fighter film, and if they do it right, if you want to do a couple of them and introduce even more characters, that's fine, though it sounds like you already got a lot that you're cramming in here for the first one. I've been very clear. Now, Kalina Lang, she looks like she's a very good actress, all that kind of stuff. I said this on Spill the Tequila. I said it on Blerds in the Hood, man. My only beef with casting is that Chun-Li is known for being representation for thick thighs saving lives, all right? She is a thick thigh icon. And Kalina is just not. She is a fantastic actress and a great fighter, it looks like. That's the only casting I don't agree with, man, okay? Like, literally, hold on. Let me show you some photos. We've done this before, but I'm gonna show you some photos, and this is what I'm talking about. Let's see, Chun-Li photos. This is what I'm saying. Chun-Li has the thunder thighs, bro. Icon, okay? Icon. Like, that is what Chun-Li is known for. Now, again, if she kills a role, I will shut up forever. But I'm telling you, goddammit, that is just, it's just, why would you take this away? Okay, this is about healthy representation, goddammit. But either way, I think the movie's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. I'm obviously like digging around and all that kind of stuff, but it is something that has come up in conversation by a number of people. So let me know what you think in the comments. You can throw it in the stream, like you can throw it in the super chat, or just throw it in the general comments. And let's go to this next story. We'll talk about thighs and ass. Let's talk about a particular superstar that was on a date and apparently decided to go have a one-woman party in the bathroom. Britney Spears was recently on a date, man, this is TMZ reporting this, and decided to go and dance it up while her date was sitting at the table. Britney Spears is perfectly fine dancing on her own, even if it's in the middle of a bathroom during a horrible sushi date. The singer shared a grim update on her love life Sunday when she uploaded a video of herself on Instagram dancing solo in a bathroom. As she explained in the caption, the vid was taken during a break from a date at an undisclosed sushi restaurant where she had a less than ideal time. Her quote says, "Did a sushi date, but I have my own girl party in the bathroom. Yummy. The guy was absolutely horrible. P.S. Show effort, no makeup. Per Brit, the food was yummy, but the guy sucked. Blah-de-blahs, I just read. Still, Britney proved she was able to make her own fun, twerking and flashing her bum from beneath her black slip dress. She flipped her blonde locks from side to side through her date. Didn't get a taste of this performance, so we didn't get a taste of this performance as she was hiding out in the bathroom. And this is just a latest slew of videos that Britney has done. I'm sure people remember her, a year or 2 years ago, where she was out here slinging the knives and doing her knife dance. And she most recently had her dressed as a devil dancing in her living room. Like, she's been doing her thing, man. She shared several eclectic updates, including claiming she adopted a kid. She didn't, and blasted her ex-husband Sam Ashari as a fake distraction. Britney and Sam split up in July of 23, a little over a year after their star-studded nuptials. From there, Britney was linked to Paul Solis, the singer's former maintenance worker, though they haven't been seen together for many months. It's clear that Brit has not been lucky in the love department. So, here's the thing. On the one hand, it sounds like Britney's just living her life, and I'm happy for her, and do your thing, girl. You worked super hard for your fame, for your fortune, all that kind of stuff. And For her freedom. Kat says for her freedom. Kat had warned me when she was here. She was going to be quiet, but when I started the Britney story, she probably was going to yell, "It's Britney, bitch." She didn't. That's fair. So on behalf of Kat, it's Britney, bitch. But at the same time, I won't lie. There's a small part of me, because Britney was so famous for so long, do your thing. You're not actually out here being hurt or anything like that. But a lot of these posts, just as sporadic as they are, kind of read in a way to me of just like exactly that. Someone who's been famous since she was like, 10, 11 years old, because she's on Mickey Mouse Club with all them, went to heaven and hell and back, and just seems not as adjusted as other folks. Now, mind you, there's plenty of people that throw ass on the internet, okay? Like, let's not pretend like that doesn't happen. There's plenty of people that are doing stupid shit. Like, there's that one kid that loves to do those videos of him doing the wrestling moves. He's like, okay, juggalos and juggalettes, and then he, like, jumps through tables full of, thumbtacks and crap. Like, there's plenty of people doing dumb shit on the internet, but it's not lost on me that Britney's conservatorship was clearly abused, but it came about for a reason at the start, if that makes sense. So on the one hand, I really am like, whatever, dude, do whatever you want. On the other hand, I'm not going to pretend like there's not a part of my subconscious being like, she okay? Like you've seen that gif of like Jay-Z kind of nervously nodding to a beat or whatever. That's kind of how I feel every time I see a Britney video. I'm like, all right, cool. Do you, girl? Yeah. Where are your kids? Like, it's just like that's typically where my brain goes whenever that happens. But that's just me. I'm really curious what you think. If you're like, nah, man, Britney living a life, shut the hell up. You leave Britney alone. Or if you think, as Kat teased again earlier, is this toxic? So you let me know in the comments, man. And we're going to get to our last story as to kind of be a sports wrap up. We got 3 stories. And the first one we're going to talk about is Lamar Jackson and an altercation that happened during the loss yesterday in Buffalo. Now, everybody knows that the Ravens and the Bills played yesterday. This is ESPN reporting in a 41-40 loss in Buffalo. Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson shoved a fan who slapped Jackson in the face on his helmet. I'm going to play it again for you in just a moment here. Let me boot that back up. So you can see there the fan tapped DeAndre Hopkins on the head after a touchdown. But then when he got to Lamar, he muffed him in the face. So Lamar pushed him back, like, get off me. Now, after Jackson threw a 29-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins in the third quarter, Hopkins and Jackson celebrating near the front row of Highmark Stadium. A fan wearing a red Bills jersey initially hit Hopkins on the helmet before doing the same to Jackson, who immediately delivered a two-handed push that sent the fan falling backwards. The fan was ejected from the stadium. The fan has also been indefinitely banned from Bills and NFL stadiums, a team official told ESPN's Adam Schefter on Monday. He slapped me, and he was talking, so I just forgot where I was for a bit, Jackson said. You have to think in those situations. You have security out there. Let security handle it. But I just let my emotions get the best of me. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. I learned from that. Jackson, a 2-time MVP, said the incident won't cause him to stay away from fans during games. I've never seen our fans do that, Jackson said, so I'd probably do it again when we score a touchdown. It's nothing against the fans. I'm just celebrating when my teammate gets a touchdown. Ravens led 34-19 after Hopkins' touchdown with 1:09 left in the third before Baltimore was outscored 22-6 in the fourth. That was pretty embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. I actually don't know what was more embarrassing, that or the Falcons loss yesterday. The Falcons are actually out here trying out new kickers after young Hoku missed a game-tying field goal. Also, ESPN reporting the Atlanta Falcons are officially in search mode for a kicker. Coach Raheem Morris said Monday the team will begin working out veteran and young kickers following Ku's 44-yard field goal miss in the closing seconds of a 23-20 loss to Tampa Bay. Morris said the team could begin those trials as early as Tuesday, but that it doesn't necessarily mean Ku will lose his job. Just that the Falcons will begin the process of bringing in someone to compete with him. We always create these competitive moments and find people, whether it be workouts or whatever the case may be, Morris said. There's no secret around here how we go about our business. There'll always be a highly competitive atmosphere. Koo did make 2 field goals Sunday, but he missed a 36-yarder in the third, clanking it off the right upright and through. And then Koo also missed 9 field goals last year, making just 73.5%, his worst percentage since becoming a full-time kicker with Atlanta in 2019. Koo was once the most accurate kicker in the league, but now among kickers with 20 or more field goal attempts since the start of 2024. He ranks 29 out of 31 in field goal percentage at 73%. God damn. After missing the field goal in the closing seconds, he was clearly emotional on the field. I mean, every point really matters in this league. We've been in this situation so many times, and the frustration just came out of just disappointment in myself with knowing that I know I'm better than that, he said Monday. And on top of that, letting the guys down. Unfortunately, we have been having this conversation just more than I would like to, but I think it was just those kinds of things just showing up. Koo 31 said he has felt good physically after missing time last year with a hip injury. The Falcons brought in a German-born kicker, Lenny Craig, to compete with Koo in the spring and training camp. While he has a big leg, Koo was more consistent in preseason and camp and won the job outright. But it appears now he'll be in competition again. Craig is on the practice squad, is considered more of a developmental player at this stage, but we'll get another look per Morris. I would just say we're going to look at some veterans as well, along with some young up-and-comers, and we have one in the building that we talked about. So, yeah, we'll talk about that too. Let's get to the last story real quick. And as you can see, it involves the Conneticut Sun. A senator warns the WNBA to stay out of the Sun sales negotiation. Also, ESPN reporting. U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal, the Democratic senator from Connecticut, sent a letter to the WNBA on Monday warning the league to stay out of negotiations between the Mohegan tribe and prospective new ownership groups for the Sun. And that any attempts by the WNBA to block efforts to keep the Sun in Connecticut could violate federal antitrust laws. Blumenthal is a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee and previously served as the state's attorney general for 20 years, said he will demand investigations and enforcement actions from the appropriate federal authorities if the WNBA takes any step to hinder or constrain Connecticut's negotiations. Letter comes following months of conflict between the WNBA and the Mohegan tribe, which has owned the Sun since 2003. In exploring investment options for the team, the tribe received 2 bids, one that would relocate the team to Boston and another that would move it to Hartford for a full franchise sale at $325 million. But the league has indicated it doesn't consider either deal acceptable, arguing cities that have previously gone through the expansion process would get priority over those who have not. Any sale and relocation must be approved by the Board of Governors. WNBA has also offered to buy the Sun for $250 million, which would allow the league to relocate it to a market of its choice, but the tribe has not accepted that offer, believing the price does not reflect market value. Any further attempts by the WNBA to use its considerable governance and market power over the Connecticut Sun to limit or dictate negotiations with the state of Connecticut, Blumenthal wrote, could be an unreasonable restraint of trade and interference with the market that would violate federal antitrust laws. Okay, that's more or less the story. The tribe and the league are expected to meet soon to discuss further options moving forward. All right, let's talk about all three, because all three are pretty important here. All right, let's start with Lamar Jackson. This is really real. I have said this in multiple shows. This show, Spill the Tequila, Game Time, Blerds in the Hood. Stop touching the athletes. Just stop doing it. And if you are going to do it, if they're inviting it because they do like a Lambeau leap and they're or the equivalent in their own home stadium and you want to pat them on the shoulders and stuff like that because they're inviting that, that's one thing. But especially, even if it was an accident, you shoving Lamar Jackson in the face, are you out of your mind? That is one of the highest paid, most successful players in the league, and it is completely inappropriate to think that you can put hands on him like that. Like, you're out of your goddamn mind, and I'm glad that kid, whoever he is banned from the, like, is a problem regardless. Throwing dildos on the court in the WNBA, calling people the N-word at NBA games, that has happened multiple times, that Russell Westbrook and LeBron and all that have called out, accosting and screaming things at NFL players, which, when they decide to jib-jab back, obviously there's a level of, hey, the professional side of it of like, ignore what's going on, but they're human and they're not animals in a zoo, all right? Just because you paid to go and see these games does not give you carte blanche to say and do whatever the fuck you want with the players. You are out of your mind if you think that that is appropriate. So, by all means, I am glad that this fan is banned. I appreciate the fact that Lamar didn't jump in and Ron Artest and start swinging, but it did a swift push of why you muffing me in the face, and that was the end of it. And if the league, let's be real, I didn't, the spit heard around the world on Thursday. I didn't really decide to cover it because it's been days. It's been kind of talked to death at this point. But if the idea of sportsmanship is what the NFL is really trying to focus on, I think that extends way beyond just the players and the coaching staff and all that. It extends to the fans too. If the idea is that we're trying to make the league be a little bit more together, then that includes everybody involved. And I know it's MLB, but understand, y'all, people are always watching. That lady, that Karen that decided to snatch that ball from that child yelling at the dad because he happened to grab it before her. I don't know if y'all heard that she got fired today, apparently. She is a school administrator. I normally would say it's too much to get someone fired for yelling over a baseball at a game, but this woman works with children. And if that's how you're screaming at a 10-year-old or however old that kid was that got a home run ball from his dad, you probably shouldn't work with children, all right? Let's learn to be better humans and stop being asshats. That's where I kind of stand on all of that, and I'm curious what y'all feel about that as well. Now, talking about young Hoku, I feel bad because he's been one of my favorite kickers to pick in fantasy for a minute. For the longest time, I've had two fantasy football teams that if I had them every year, I didn't change my name, and my team name was Young Ho in this house because of the song WAP. So I would hate to see him go, but if we've gotten to that point where he's starting to get the yips a little bit and he's becoming that inaccurate, especially when you have kickers like, Brandon Aubrey, knock on wood that he stays that good, who can drill 60-plus yard balls automatically, and you're getting these players, you're getting, players from all around the world that are coming into football specifically just to be kickers, you've got to hold it down. It is probably one of the most coveted jobs in sports because you're not really getting roughed up for the most part. You just got to do this one thing. And you could clear easily somewhere between $1 and $5 million a year just kicking the football, man. You ain't got to do nothing. You got to run around and kick the football. That's it. So knowing how coveted that job is, unfortunately, Young Ho got to step up or ship out, man. It is what it is. It's cutthroat out here in these streets. So let me know what you think. Do you have him on your fantasy team? All that kind of stuff. And then lastly, talking about this Conneticut Sun sale, I kind of have a split feeling on this. On the one hand, I do agree with the W in this idea of they have vetted cities that want to expand and want expansion teams. And I do think it's important because those types of vettings are talking to those cities, to the governments in those cities, things like that, how they're going to really try and cultivate what is a continuously growing league. At the same time, I understand for both this tribe that's trying to sell the team and what the senator is saying that, yeah, it is supposed to be kind of a free market in that regard. And so this idea of, if it's my asset, if I own the team, you gonna tell me I gotta take $100 million less just because you don't like the idea of it going to bot? I literally can see it from both sides here. As a W fan, I agree with the league, but as someone that, if I want to sell some shit, if it's my shit, I want to sell it how I want to sell it, kiss my ass. I literally can see both sides of that argument there. So what I hope is able to happen, I hope that there is Kyle, thank you for another awesome super chat. We're going to get to that in just a moment. We'll read all the super chats in Streamlabs. Where was I? But the idea of people have to remember the league is in its infancy stages of becoming a mainstay staple. It has obviously been around for a minute, and it obviously had been growing pretty damn well on its own. And then obviously the, Caitlin Clark coming in last year shot that up exponentially where there's more people watching now, and Paige Buckers is only making that even better. And the talent that's coming up in the next couple of years, when Juju hits the league, all that, it's only going to get more and more crazy. But that also means we're in a very delicate situation where the right city is important. Let's call it a buck. Yes, Boston is considered one of the bigger sports towns in the country. But I also understand when you're dealing with a league that's been dealing with a lot of racism, a lot of homophobia, a lot of misogyny that's been coming in, Boston has also been known as that town that is always a problem, that they're throwing bananas at players on or having signs saying horrible shit. You've had some of your biggest stars from the Celtics over the years be like, yo, F this city. Like, saying horrible things to Bill Russell when he's out here winning 11 rings for your ass. You know what I'm saying? So I really understand the idea of maybe the league being like, I don't know how we feel about that if the city's not willing to do the things to help us grow, and we're potentially inviting more drama into this at the same time. I can really see where they want to try and further protect the asset here, which is the league as a whole. I can see it really go any way. I think this is an interesting debate. So I really hope that the league and the tribe have a good conversation and can come to a conclusion that works for everybody. But all that being said, whether it be Lamar Jackson and the fan and behavior, the Falcons and their new kicker potentially, the sale of the Conneticut Sun, let me know what you think in the comments and what you think about these stories. And now let's get to these Super Chats and Streamlabs, man. Once again, if you'd like to get one in, you can go ahead and put in a Super Chat, or you can go to streamlabs.com/swaggyblerd/tip. All are welcome. Obviously, bigger fan of the Streamlabs because they take less of a cut. Google loves to take like 50% of the Super Chats, but I appreciate them anyway, man. So thank you, everybody. We got 2 from Kyle Wilson. Thank you so much. His first one reads, how do you handle the Sentry? He is so OP. That is a great question. How he has been handled before in the comics. 1, there was a device put into place via Bob and Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Strange, and essentially kind of the Illuminati, to make the Sentry or Bob forget he is the Sentry. Because they really are, the Sentry and the Void are two sides of the same coin and just how that power manifests. It doesn't help if Bob is insecure that his insecurities can run wild into that fear and anxiety and make the Sentry go. So truthfully, Professor X seems like the ultimate dude to potentially do that if he doesn't, get immediately murked by the Sentry. He seems like the perfect person to try and rein him back in and hopefully put some sort of, mental blocks into place to kind of help with that. The Sentry has always been that interesting character because he is so mentally fragile, but is so strong. People that are up there that can throw hands with him, in the comics, World Breaker Hulk, World War Hulk's World Breaker Hulk was able to go toe to toe and it was a draw there. Thor at times has been able to hold his own, but he's looking at really superpowered, versions of himself. Captain Marvel, Blue Marvel, but I don't know if we're getting introduced to him anytime soon. So there are people that can hold their own, but yeah, he's a problem for most of the Avengers we have available at our disposal right now. So hopefully they find out a good plan to deal with them. Thank you so much for that first Super Chat, Kyle. And the second one comes in. If they make a Kobe biopic, who are the most important casting for players? Shaq and Phil Jackson, of course, but I would love to see the Spurs. Now, that's a good question. Shaq and Phil are absolutely important. I think Michael Jordan, because you did have that early kind of rivalry where Kobe wanted to prove something to Michael, and kind of where people were talking about this whole Mamba mentality, and it's like, wow, he really is like a mini Jordan. I'm trying to think who else was really big. I'm assuming at some point we're gonna end up with how unfortunately he passed. So I think not only for his family dynamic of just meeting Vanessa and whoever plays his wife, but I think also a talented young actress to play Gigi. Obviously, as tragic as that is, I would assume you talk about his last days. Maybe if they don't, if you wanted to be like classy about it, and maybe you just end on, his last game and like kind of waving off, and then you just do, maybe like a text recap of what happened afterwards. It just depends on what they're doing. But I think honestly, the big three in Boston is more important than the Spurs. Not that there weren't important battles against the Spurs and Tim Duncan and all that, but I think his quest post Shaq, dealing with the big three and how they beat him in 08. He won the title in 09 over the Magic, but then finally got his revenge and really felt like he became the Laker. Beating them in 2010, I think, was that big moment to round out his career, that final ring. So that would be who I think is probably the most important. Jeannie Buss, I think, also a big casting choice. I think all of those are pretty important, but yeah, that would be where I stand on that. So Kyle Wilson, thank you so much for those super chats, and thank you to everybody that watched the show today. I really, really appreciate it. One more time, if this is your first time here, please be sure, if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. Where's the little thing didn't pop up? There it is. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, throw a thumbs up on this video, and get in the comments, man. Let me know what you were thinking about all these stories and anything that's kind of coming up one way or the other. Please feel free at any point if you would like to throw in another super chat or a Streamlab when this show is over. If you want to throw in, I think they're called like super gifts or whatever they're called, whatnot. I will always read those on my next available stream. If they're tied specifically to Blerd Breakdown, I will read them again on Blerd Breakdown if I'm not doing just whatever stream. So feel free, and I appreciate any of that support. As far as the rest of the stuff that's going on later this week with me, Spill the Tequila tomorrow. We're going a little early at 3:30 because I have a screening for The Longest Walk tomorrow evening, so we need to go a little early so I can get to the other side of town. Jay and I are talking on Wednesday. Blerds in the Hood will be returning every other Wednesday, twice a month, starting next Wednesday, the 17th. We're going to lock down a lot of the production stuff this week. With Christian, I've got Capes and Cows dropping on Friday. I just recorded my first reaction with him doing The Last Dragon, which is going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned to his channel so you know when that drops. I am wrapping up my K-Pop Demon Hunters reaction, so that should be on this channel momentarily. I will tweet out and whatnot when that goes up. And other than that, I will be doing probably some smaller streams here and on my Twitch, just playing some Final Fantasy IX, shooting the shit, all that kind of stuff. I think that really is, you know, all of that. I enjoy just hanging with you guys, so we'll do more of that. And, of course, right back here on the Blerd Breakdown on Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And that's pretty much it, y'all. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a great rest of your Monday evening. Go watch some football. I know the game's on right now. I think it's the Bears. I don't know who the Bears playing, but we'll see if the Vikings. It's the Bears and the Vikings, a division rivalry game. So it'll be interesting to see if J.J. McCarthy is holding his own against Caleb Williams, which of those young quarterbacks is doing the damn thing. So with that, I'm out of here. Y'all have a good rest of your night, man. Peace.